A glitchy new lore video has appeared when you start up the finals following update 1.9.0, and it seems to directly show us rather curious images of what looks like a new map, as well as continuing to expand the game's lore. Let's check it out. The lore of the finals is slowly starting to take shape now that we have these short videos appearing alongside some of the updates for the game, and it's potentially heading down what might be a super interesting lore path for an FPS. My coverage of the previous lore video is linked above if you want to catch up on that before diving in here, but there was something that I missed in that first lore clip which I caught while re-watching it after this most recent one was published, and that's this image here, which is seen 28 seconds into the video. It appears to show two vehicles side by side and facing to the right, almost like they're drag racing. The one closest to us looks like it has a supercharger mounted on it and some sort of fin near the rear. You can also see the top of the right rear wheel arch here. So what are cars doing in this image? The last time we saw a car associated with the finals was the very first teaser for the game. I don't know if this means we might see cars introduced into gameplay down the track, or if this is simply part of the game's lore. Anyhow, let's just keep an eye out for more cars in future videos. This new lore video dropped while I'm right in the middle of researching and making a much more in-depth video that covers the artistic influences on the finals. That will look at the films, TV series, video games, and other inspirations that have contributed to the style and story of the finals, and now includes this latest lore video as well, which further confirms the view that I hold about the game. I'll show you in that video that combined, all of those things tell us the finals has a lot more in store for us than probably any of us anticipated. I'll leave that for the video, but here's a little sneak peek of what that video will include.
There's a deeper level to this game.
Nice moves!
What is real?
I'm what you guys call a user.
I'm not drinking out of that, mate. Yeah!
My heart stopped.
I'll be back. Only in a rerun.
Go! Anyhow, let's watch the new 45-second lore video and then I'll break it down, including the images of what looks like a new map.
When the coins get tough, the tough shells get coins. What a win! On behalf of our sponsors, thanks for tuning in.
And that's a wrap.
Another broadcast and another message from CNS.
They're starting to draw attention away from the contestants.
The messages tend to appear at the big matches. It's certainly not random.
I mean, I guess it could be a publicity stunt.
That would explain why Volpe's tech hasn't blocked them. But what if it's not a stunt?
All I know is that whatever CNS even is, it can't outsmart the finals.
True enough. And if CNS wanted to earn real fame, they'd need to compete. Just like you, Scotty.
Just like the previous lore video, there are loads of individual cryptic frames packed with numbers. I did see on Reddit that someone thought they could see a face in this frame here, and well, at this scale it absolutely does look like a person. If we zoom in on the original version of the video, it's actually just overlapping symbols. So unfortunately, it's a case of pareidolia, but I can totally see why the Reddit user thought it was a person. We do, however, get both messages that we've seen previously from the mysterious entity CNS. While both images are partly obscured in this video in full, the first one reads, "Good evening, this broadcast has been hacked by CNS. One night, 3 dawns, see the signs." And this one, "Good evening, this broadcast has been hacked by CNS. Seek the truth beyond the walls." So we know CNS is continuing to hack the finals broadcasts, and this is expanded on by what the game's commentators Scotty and June say. Scotty wraps up the broadcast of a match, then June says, "Another broadcast and another message from CNS," to which Scotty responds, "They're starting to draw attention away from the contestants." And June makes the observation, the messages tend to appear at the big matches, it's certainly not random. Scotty tries to reason the situation by saying, I guess it could be a publicity stunt, and June adds, "That would explain why Volpe's tech hasn't blocked them, but what if it's not a stunt?" So we're being presented with the idea that someone, perhaps one of the in-game sponsors, could be paying to have these messages screened as part of some obscure marketing campaign. Scotty attempts reassurance by saying, "All I know is that whatever CNS even is, it can't outsmart the finals." And June agrees. True enough, and if CNS wanted to earn real fame, they'd need to compete, just like you, Scotty. I find this last line particularly interesting. Let's listen to the way June says it once more.
True enough. And if CNS wanted to earn real fame, they'd need to compete. Just like you, Scotty.
To me, it sounds like when she says, "just like you, Scotty," it isn't very sincere, as if June is making a subtle point that Scotty's history might not be as illustrious as he's made it out to be. The other thing I've noticed is that their two voices have different effects on them. Scotty's voice is effects-wise quite dry.
They're starting to draw attention away from the contestants.
It just is what it is, but June's voice has an echo added to it on several of her lines.
It's certainly not random.
It could have been added for dramatic effect, but it's a curious difference and I suspect there's more to it. My initial interpretation of this is that at the least, Scotty and June are possibly not physically in the same location as one another and maybe commentating remotely. Now this might be taking it a step too far, but we could ask if that separation is because one of them isn't a real person. If that's the case, is whoever's not a real person merely a digital entity or a robot that's deceiving those around them, just like replicants do in the Blade Runner movies? Maybe we keep that possibility parked for the moment, but also keep our eyes open for any future clues that might reveal more about Scotty and June's reality. The commentary aside, let's look at the other visuals in the video. There are a lot of chaotic frames that look like this, and there may be ciphers hidden amongst these numbers that we could uncover, but there are so many of these images that I think this speaks more to an underlying theme that's emerging in the finals, which is the role of the virtual Matrix-like world in the game and in the lore of the finals overall. Again, I want to come back to this subject in a lot more detail in my upcoming art influences on the finals video, but for now I'm simply going to say that this virtual world versus real world art style drips so heavily from this new video that we simply can't ignore that it's going to play an important role within the future lore of the finals. Now let's look at the images of what is probably a new map being teased. The map appears at the 14-second mark in the video when we see this hallway. We can see its ceiling here. The hallway extends towards a tree in the distance in what appears like some sort of internal courtyard. To the left and right of the tree are what appear like vertical zip lines, and behind the tree is maybe a low sky bridge or a balcony, probably a short sky bridge if I had to decide. On the right is a large open room with a set of stairs here, and on the left are multiple levels with stairs to each level. With the open entrances and large open spaces inside, this looks like a public space, like a museum or maybe a modern office space. The odd thing about this image though are these jagged and box-like walls and these large blocks on the floor. Here it looks like floor tiles which look normal, but then these blocks look like you couldn't walk through this area. The blue coloring also makes the whole thing look like some old-fashioned blueprints, which is something that was shown as an Easter egg clue back in September last year. So as normal as these parts of the image look, this central part does not look like any type of map we've seen so far. Perhaps it's a map that's set several decades into the future where walls are treated more like some sort of art installation. The camera then tracks backwards and we see a cool cantilevered window on the left here. Again, the floor and ceiling look kind of weird, especially with these blocks that look like they're floating, like some sort of gravity-defying brutalist art installation. On the very left here looks like another vertical zip line, and beyond that appear to be a couple of chairs up on desks, so maybe this is a school or a meeting room. We're then given a view of another part of the map. This part looks even more perplexing. If I move the image back and forth here, you can see that many of the wall and ceiling blocks are actually floating in space. Some of the parts of the walls here even look like they have electrical connections where they're ready to be plugged into another part of a wall. If this is what the actual map is going to look like, this map map is going to be very different from any previous map. The camera tracks back further and the floor here appears to have a hole in it with floating pieces of floor below it, and we can even see down into levels below with maybe some trees on the left here. This is a very bizarre map. Wherever this map is and whatever era it's set in, it looks pretty modern and the architecture looks really interesting. I'm sure Spear will cover all of that in one of his videos once we get an actual look at the map, which I presume will be in Season 2 of the finals. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the teased map. Is it real? Is it a dream? Is what we see here what we're going to get? Thanks for watching this video to the end. Do the usual YouTube business if you want to see more videos from me from now on, like the upcoming video about art influences on the finals. Give a like or comment as you see fit, and enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha, stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up and fight.